I've met plenty of millennials that own property. I have met plenty of Gen X, Gen Y that can't get into the market. So talk a little bit about the stereotype about how millennials can't get into the market, and talk about how that's really not true, and what you do for your clients, and you help them get in.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of media poking fun of millennials and just how we're so behind in terms of our ability to enter the market and sort of make those bigger life steps than other generations. But it's not my experience. About 70% of my clients are millennials that were first-time buyers. Like in the last 5 years, that is who we're serving. And it's just, it takes some planning and it takes some sacrifice. But even in a market like Toronto, I'm thinking about when I first started, I was doing a lot of leasing, and I was working with a lot of, millennials right out of university that were getting their first salaried positions at, firms or, workplaces, things like that. And they were choosing to have roommates. They were choosing to, even out of university, they're renting the downtown condo. They choose location, but they were sharing with one or two other people, and they were saving. They're consciously saving, and they had a plan in 5 years to buy. And they were able to do that. They were able to save some of their money by, having a roommate in your 20s. And then, the RSP being a really, really great vehicle for those savings. So as a first-time buyer in Canada, you can put up to $35,000 out of your RSP towards a down payment. And if you're purchasing with another person, they can match it up to 70.
Now that's up, right? Because for a long time it was 25,000.
Yeah, it was 25 right? For a very long time, but I volunteer on the government relations committee with the Toronto Real Estate Board. And so we were lobbying for that change, and the federal government listened to us and upped that limit from 25 to 35. So that has really helped. Yeah, thanks. That's really helped, millennials and first-time buyers in hot markets like Toronto and Vancouver, where, the ladder rung is a little bit higher to get into the market. But other markets which are softer and more quote unquote affordable, like in Fredericton, millennials are living well there if they're employed. So it's really the Toronto and Vancouver markets primarily where there's that frenzy. The media's been focused on them. The media's talking about bubble, talking about bidding wars, and they're always talking about this inevitable crash. And, I have clients that were coming to me and they're hearing their family and they're saying, oh, I shouldn't get into the market because it's going to crash. That is one of the biggest concerns when people come forward, is everyone thinks that everything is overinflated. People's parents can't understand spending $500,000 on 500 square feet. That is just absurd to them. But
because when they were in their 20s and 30s, stuff was like I remember my parents,
they would buy houses for 30 grand. You can buy,
yeah, or 60 grand, right? But that was in the 70s. Like, come on, guys, it's 50 years later or whatever, right?
And it's about how you approach things too. Some people have approached these markets as get rich quick schemes or flip schemes, but if you're looking at a long-term investment and you just look at the historical data, like in Toronto, the last 30 years of data show an average of 5% increase year over year, if you average out all the spikes and all the decreases. So the market is always going to come with ups and downs, but once you're in it, your costs are relatively fixed depending on what kind of mortgage you go into. But if you've got a 5-year fixed mortgage, you can ride out a crash and a recovery because you've got the same payments every month and you're still building equity.
And interest rates are so low now. I mean,
they're
under 2%. I mean,
I refinanced all my properties. I was like, okay, it's time to
kidding.
Go.
You know what? My guy at the bank just called me and he's like, listen, he goes, I can drop your rate down to like 1.6. Done. And listen, I'm not a big fan of the fixed interest rate because statistically, I think the number is like 87% of the time you make more money or you keep more of your money on a variable rate. Yeah. Right. But, and I remember saying to him, I go, you're offering me a 1.6 fixed rate, which tells me the variable is going to be lower. And he goes, probably. He says, but at the end of the day, it's under 1.5 or it's under 2%. Like, who cares? Right. Yeah. It's not like the 80s where it was, 15, 18, 20%. Right.
Well, thanks so much for watching. It's been a pleasure being on Behind the Vault. You can find all of the links below. You can follow me on Instagram at Alexandra Cote and at thefoxteam.ca. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Behind the Vault.